Mike Tomlin might stop short of embracing his critics, but the Pittsburgh Steelers coach has said the unsolicited assessments of his performance come with the territory in his profession. New Steelers quarterback Aaron Rodgers has other ideas about slinging arrows at Tomlin. Mike T is the man. Any hate, disrespect, and the ilk is complete and utter bullshit, Rodgers said Wednesday in a live interview at training camp with the visiting Pat McAfee show. Mike T is the man. From day one that we talked on the phone in the offseason, I was never talking to a head coach. I was talking to a friend. I respected the hell out of that. The way that he leads the room, the way that he talks in the team meeting, the way he is in practice. The surprise has been just what a great dude he is. What a great leader he is, on top of what I already expected, which was already high based on what I thought from afar, but being able to see it in person is incredible. Rodgers took his time coming to terms with the Steelers after 2 painful seasons with the Jets. He tore his Achilles on the opening series of his tenure with the team in 2023, and the redemption tour never left the runway in 2024 after a slow start that led to New York firing head coach Robert Saleh. Rodgers was released by the Jets, who signed former Steelers quarterback Justin Fields to start the season. Tomlin told McAfee on Wednesday there was no hesitation in signing Rodgers after their initial conversation proved they were in alignment on their goals and mission. He's here and here in a mindset that's aligned with us. He's here and here to win a world championship for this group, Tomlin said. Rodgers won a Super Bowl with the Green Bay Packers in 2010, beating Tomlin and the Steelers for his only Lombardi trophy. Through the first few practices of Pittsburgh Steelers training camp, Jalen Ramsey has stood out. While pads weren't on yet, Ramsey made several plays, including nabbing multiple interceptions. When the Steelers traded for him, corner didn't seem like a pressing need for them. However, they've shown that they're going to move him around the defense. New Steelers quarterback Aaron Rodgers has been impressed with Ramsey so far. He's a tempo violator in the walkthroughs, Rodgers said Wednesday via the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette's YouTube channel. No, I like Jalen Ramsey. I have a ton of respect for him, what he's accomplished in his career. He's a very versatile guy. I was telling him, we were walking to the cafeteria one of these days and I was reminding him how Charles Woodson late in his career moved to safety. And there's truly only a few elite guys who've done everything that he's done if you think about it. You can play outside corner and dominate. You can play nickel and dominate, and then go to safety and be a dominant player. I think he can do all 3 of those things. Woodson is a Hall of Fame defensive back who played from 1998 to 2015. He was teammates with Rodgers while with the Green Bay Packers from 2006 to 12. For most of his career, he was an outside corner. However, during his final few years in the NFL, Woodson transitioned to safety. That process started during his final year with the Packers. Then, Woodson returned to the Oakland Raiders, where he was named a second-team All-Pro at safety during his final NFL season. That's a high bar for Ramsey to reach. However, up to this point, he's been a dominant outside corner. He's also seen some time in the slot, where he's continued to be elite. Now, with Minkah Fitzpatrick gone, Ramsey could continue shifting around and move to safety. While it doesn't seem like that's going to be his full-time role with the Steelers, Ramsey has spent time at safety in training camp. Playing the position and playing it at a high level are 2 different things, though. For what it's worth, former Steelers corner Rod Woodson expressed his belief that Ramsey can make the switch from corner to safety. He made that transition as well as Charles Woodson, helping the Baltimore Ravens win a Super Bowl while playing safety. We'll see if Ramsey can prove Rodgers right. He'd enter special company if he could be just as good at safety as he was at corner. While he doesn't have much NFL experience there, it isn't a completely foreign concept to him. However, no matter where he's playing, the Steelers will be looking for him to continue being highly impactful. NFL training camp is in full swing, the preseason approaches, and before long, the 2025 season will commence. It's time for the remaining veteran free agents to grab a chair. Deep into this year's off-season process, a number of well-known players are still unsigned. Inevitable injuries could open jobs, and some clubs that wanted to give reps to younger players during off-season workouts might soon turn to veterans to solidify those positions. With that in mind, let's play some NFL matchmaking, pairing 10 notable free agents with teams that make sense from the perspective of need and fit. Last year wasn't pretty for Cooper in either Cleveland, 24 catches for 250 yards and 2 TDs in 6 games, or Buffalo, 20 catches for 297 yards and 2 more scores in 8 games, but there should still be gas left in the tank. The 31-year-old can be a boundary weapon and knows how to find space in the red zone. The Chargers lost a receiver who could have provided those skills when Mike Williams decided to retire, abruptly ending his franchise homecoming. The LA Brass has displayed confidence in the youngsters, but there was a reason Williams was signed to return this offseason in the first place. Cooper could serve as a veteran leader to the Green Corps. And he wouldn't be asked to be the go-to weapon, a role Ladd McConkey ran away with last year, instead buffering Quentin Johnston and providing a backstop if rookies Trey Harris or Keandre Lambert-Smith stumble. Additionally, Cooper appears to be the type of grinder and leader Jim Harbaugh loves. Big Blue reportedly met with Davis early in the offseason process, but the wideout has yet to find a landing spot. The connection with New York is obvious. General Manager Joe Schoen was part of the Bills' front office that drafted Davis in the 4th round in 2020, and head coach Brian Daboll was Davis's offensive coordinator in Buffalo for the first 2 seasons of his career. The Giants' receiver room is iffy behind the starting crew, led by stud Malik Nabers. Davis would provide field-stretching ability to pair with Darius Slayton. And camp injury scares to Nabers and Wan'Dale Robinson highlight this group's need for depth. After quickly washing out of Jacksonville, Davis profiles as a player who, in the right spot, could revamp his standing with a 1-year contract. Given the familiarity with Daboll, New York makes sense as the setting for a prove-it deal. At this point, it seems like the outside world cares more about the Steelers' WR2 gig than team decision-makers do. The offseason revamp of their aerial attack brought in DK Metcalf, who is a WR1, and tight end Jonas Smith, who joins Pat Freiermuth as a good pass catcher at that position. But after trading away George Pickens, Pittsburgh appears to be banking on second-year pro Roman Wilson, who missed all but 5 snaps last year due to injury, and an aging Robert Woods to step up opposite Metcalf. If the Steelers want to finally break through their playoff doldrums, why not keep the party going with another veteran searching for a ring? Allen has dealt with injuries and struggled at times last year in Chicago, but he can still generate separation and would provide Aaron Rodgers with another experienced player who understands the nuances of the position. And while Allen and Woods are both 33, Allen's last 1,000-yard season, 2023, is a much fresher memory than Woods' 2019. Allen's ability to play on the outside or slot would be a boon if Calvin Austin III or Wilson struggle to connect with Rodgers. The Steelers have gone all in this offseason. They shouldn't stop now. Trading away Jonas Smith and acquiring Darren Waller was certainly an interesting approach by the Dolphins at tight end. Counting on a formerly retired player who dealt with injuries even before he took a year off is a dangerous game. We saw last year how Mike McDaniel's offense can benefit from a pass-catching TE with move skills, as Smith finished second on the squad in receiving yards, 884, and first in scoring grabs, 8. Adding another one of those players in Fant makes sense, particularly if the Waller gamble doesn't pan out. A first-round pick by Denver in 2019, Fant never produced gaudy stats, but he could always run and provided YAC when given space over 3 seasons with the Broncos and 3 more with the Seahawks. We know the Dolphins love speed, and they reportedly hosted Fant earlier this week. While Fant also has met with New Orleans and Cincinnati since being released by Seattle, Miami could provide him with the best chance to win a sizable role on a team in 2025. It feels like the Eagles have been speculatively linked to Simmons from the moment Vic Fangio took on the defensive coordinator role in Philly last offseason. It doesn't seem like Philly has been in a rush to fill the safety void created by the decision to trade Chauncey Gardner-Johnson to Houston. The Eagles have repped Cooper DeJean at safety early in camp, potentially as a way to ensure the playmaker stays on the field in non-nickel situations. However, the Super Bowl champs could use a veteran presence on the back end. The 31-year-old Simmons might not be the same high flyer he was in his Denver days under Fangio, but he can still cover ground and fits well in his former coach's scheme. At this stage of his career, coming off his release by the Broncos last offseason and a 1-year stint with the Falcons, Simmons will presumably be chasing a ring more than cash, which would fit Philly's cause. Detroit continues to be the spot that makes the most sense for the soon-to-be 33-year-old, who spent the second half of last season there after being acquired via trade from the Browns. The shallowness of the Lions' pass rush crew is well documented at this stage. If injuries strike again, always a concern for any team counting on Marcus Davenport, that issue will be even more pronounced. No longer an every-down player, Smith can still produce pressure in spurts and is solid enough against the run. The recent report from Dave Burkett of the Detroit Free Press that the Lions have had dialogue about fellow free agent pass rusher Matt Judon reads like a possible push to Smith's camp to get a deal done. All the reports of Aiden Hutchinson's return have been outstanding. However, continuing to address the need for adequate depth to support the Defensive Player of the Year candidate remains a priority in Detroit.